Hey everybody, Jesse Sutton here. It is 1 o'clock. We're going to give it just another minute here directly after lunch for the folks on the East Coast. So we'll give them one more minute here and we'll start momentarily. Okay, everybody. Just want to welcome everybody. My name is Jesse Sutton. I'm sitting here with Jordan Wenger, we're going to give you the optimized weather winter roofing RapidLock and cold weather solutions webinar today. So we're gonna take you through some of our RapidLock offering. We're going to take you through some best practices for flexible, fast, and cold weather, along with a whole host of other topics. We're going to start with RapidLock. Just a kind of a few housekeeping notes. You can submit any questions that you do have via the chat. Jordan's monitoring the chat a little bit. We'll see if we can't get back to you on that side. If not, we'll open it up for questions all along the way, and we will follow up to each and every one of those questions via email following the webinar. So if you do have anything, obviously feel free to post that in the chat. We'll kind of jump into it. Like I said, my name's Jesse Sutton. I'm responsible for fleece membranes and coatings here at Carlisle, and what falls under that responsibility as well is the RapidLock technology. So those of you who aren't familiar, we're going to take you through the RapidLock product offering, some of the features and benefits, and why it's perfectly suited for cold weather application. So just to jump right into it, so RapidLock technology is based on Velcro securable solutions. So it is a Velcro type technology with a hook and loop. So on the screen there, you can see the membrane has a special fleece that we factory laminate here at Carlisle. And then we also apply a plastic hook facer to our insulation board. So it's available on all different types of insulations, both paper-faced insulations and coated glass insulations. Some of the common questions we get about RapidLock technology on the fleece, on the membrane side: is it a special fleece, or can I just use a standard FleeceBACK product from Carlisle and laminate it to that hook? And it is not. It is a special fleece. You can't use just standard FleeceBACK products in a RapidLock assembly. We've specially formulated that particular fleece to be the loop and provide a really aggressive bond with that hook side of that plastic facer that's laminated to your insulation. If we take a look at some of just the membrane system and why it's so viable in cold weather, is that there's no temperature restrictions on any of the RapidLock products. And if you go to the thermoplastic side, there aren't even any primers to deal with on that side. So there are 0 VOCs associated with the system as well. There is no adhesive. There's no urethane adhesive. So we're not fighting any temperature restrictions there. We're not worried about a solvent-based adhesive blushing when temperatures get cool and we're in high humidity environments. We're not waiting for any flash off time. We're not waiting for string time to occur to marry membrane into fleece. And there are zero odors associated with the system. So we do offer some low odor products, but there are zero odors associated with a RapidLock system. If I could back up just to that no flash off or string time, no adhesive system topic just for a second. If you think about it as well, there's no trying to hit published coverage rates. There's no guesswork involved there. So all of that is taken out. And we just have a super streamlined system to marry that membrane into insulation and to produce a fully adhered roofing assembly. We take a look at just some of the construction and the advantages of not only RL systems, but FleeceBACK systems in general. So what we're dealing with here is our standard bareback membrane formulations that then get laminated with 55 mils of that fleece. So it's all the time-tested weatherability of the membrane that you're familiar with, and just gobs of experience on that side from thermoplastic extrusion to our thermoset membranes. And obviously the field tested and proven results of those single ply membranes. All that history exists and is incorporated into RapidLock systems. So then when you transition over to laminating that fleece to the underside of the membrane, you get that exterior reinforcement that has a whole host of benefits that we'll discuss here going forward. But some of the bigger ones are increased puncture resistance. It goes up exponentially when you add that fleece to it, and the tear resistance improves exponentially as well when you add an exterior reinforcement to that sheet, coupled with some really superior wind uplift ratings that rival any traditionally adhered system. We talk a little bit about the membrane offering, look at sheet construction, and what we bring to the table here as far as system capability. We do offer RapidLock systems in all three membrane types, both EPDM, TPO, and PVC. If we look at some of that offering for the estimators out there, just want to go over what the product offering is. So on the FleeceBACK RapidLock EPDM side, we do offer 10 foot and 10 foot by 50 foot width lengths, 10 foot width by 100 foot sheets. And then it's offered in 115 mil and 145 mil total sheet thicknesses. And over the past couple of years, we've really rounded out this product line on the EPDM side to include white products as well. So both traditional black EPDM and white products are offered. I want to talk just for a second about the way CCM talks about total mil thickness on the FleeceBACK side of things. So when we speak about 115 and 145 mil thicknesses, that is our standard 60 mil product and 80 mil product with 55 mils of fleece laminated to the back to give you that total thickness of 115 and 145 mils. You can see it down below, a little bit of an explanation there. One that you'll notice is missing is the 100 mil product here. Typically when you're stepping up to an RL system, thickness is king. So we traditionally sell more thicker systems on the RL side and don't offer that 45 mil in EPDM. But if you take a look at some of the performance increases there, and this is in direct comparison to, you're looking at the bottom of that screen there, direct comparison to a standard bareback 60 mil product. So obviously it's 67% thicker with the inclusion of that fleece, but it offers 40% greater puncture resistance than a standard bareback sheet and almost 200 times greater tear resistance when you add that external reinforcement as opposed to just a bareback non-reinforced EPDM sheet. We take a look at the TPO offering there, very similar, 10 buys, 50 and 100, again with the 115 and 135 mil total thicknesses. Is your 80 mil and 60 mil. It also is available in our white, gray, and tan. Those are just our everyday product offering colors, but then we include special colors in that offering as well. typically coupled with some minimum order quantities on some of that special color stuff. But white, gray, and tan are our stocked colors on the thermoplastic side. Down below there, again, similar performance there. We have the increased thickness due to the fleece, 30% greater puncture resistance than a bareback sheet, and 33% greater tear resistance, again, with adding that exterior reinforcement. Just to move on to the PVC offering, again, you can see the roll sizes there on your screen, 115 and 135. A little bit different. We have stocked colors of white, gray, tan, light gray, and slate gray on the PVC side. We don't offer those 5 special colors like we do on the TPO side in PVC. Very similar puncture resistance and tear resistance improvements on the PVC side as well. I want to take you through just kind of how a typical system works when you're talking about RapidLock. So just an example of an assembly on the screen there. So starting at the deck, we have the steel deck, and then you can use any insulation that you want there for your base layer. That can be your standard paper-faced or CGF insulation. And then that comes the RapidLock board, and that's the board that has your special facer on it that the fleece attaches to. Again, we've taken the opportunity over the past couple of years to really round out that product line to include pretty much any thickness that you would need in that RapidLock technology, all the way down to your 1/2-inch high density, your HD boards to include that as well. Then you can fasten that insulation down, or you can adhere it with flexible fast, depending on what your uplift requirements are. There is a jump off point where in really high wind uplift requirements, either corner pressures or perimeters, where the fastening density takes up too much of the surface area to get real good hook and loop engagement. That in those particular areas, the board will need to be foamed down. But all of that is available on the website depending on what the requirements of your systems are. And then finally, the membrane on top of that, either EPDM or TPO or PVC, can be embedded into that hook. Just an extremely quick, clean system to install. Just to hit again on some of those performance benefits that are associated with RapidLock systems and FleeceBACK systems is a much, much higher puncture resistance versus a bareback membrane. 33 to 50% greater puncture, obviously greater tear like we talked about earlier. Increased hail protection as well. Generally associated with FleeceBACK systems are increased hail performance due to the extra cushion and padding of that fleece and just the exterior reinforcement altogether. We also have concluded testing with Factory Mutual to include very severe hail ratings with our composite board set in flexible fast. So you now can achieve very severe hail ratings with RapidLock systems now as well. Again, the whole host of superior uplift or ratings up to a 1-285 rated systems with Factory Mutual there as well. Just a quick go through just the different steps to installing a RapidLock system. So your final layer there that goes down of insulation before membrane will obviously have your hook there, and you can see on the screen that there are some folks installing fasteners down through that insulation. Again, it can be installed with fasteners or adhered in flexible fast, depending on the requirement of the system. Just like you would be doing in a traditional system, no real deviation there from installation method on an insulation. So the second step then, before you remove or install the membrane, is to remove any debris that is on the surface. What's really, really nice about a RapidLock system is you're dealing with a almost microscopic hook. So there's nothing to snag insulation there or hold it in place. Leaf blower or broom does a real nice job of getting rid of any debris that could affect that engagement of the system. Again, super clean. And one of the unique things about a RapidLock system, as opposed to a traditionally adhered system with adhesive, is you can remove debris all the way up until the exact moment that you lay in the membrane. So if you see something that's amiss or awry, nothing's going to get stuck down to that sheet like an adhesive would. ISO dust blowing around, something like that can be easily removed prior to installation of that membrane. So just a real nice way to mitigate any risk there from trapping something under the insulation, or I'm sorry, under the membrane. So then after that insulation is clean, we're going to position the sheet, and you'll notice in this picture that there on the back side of that sheet that there's a release liner that is factory laminated to the back side of that sheet to protect the fleece. That allows you to set the sheet in place, float it in, guide it in, get it lined up, and you can either roll it back up or slide that release liner out from underneath the sheet. It is a split release liner on 10-foot wide material, so that it makes it easy to handle. But it gives you the ability to slide and position that sheet before you actually engage that hook and loop. Because once the hook and loop is engaged, it should not be released back from the insulation. It is very difficult to do so. And what happens is you run the risk of delamming that facer off the insulation if you try and pull it up. Sometimes if you're careful, you can make small corrections if necessary by releasing it and putting it back down. But we really want you to get it right the first time. What happens is over time, if you continue to pull the sheet up and put it back down, it tends to straighten the fibers of the fleece. That initial engagement is where you get that most tenacious bond, essentially. But it's real nice to have that slip sheet in there that does have an adhesive on it, so it stays on the back side of the sheet, giving you ample time to put that into position. The next step in the process is to remove that release liner. So if you want to barn door the sheet, you can do that. Pull that sheet out, float it in just like you would any other FleeceBACK sheet. The real nice thing about RapidLock systems on both EPDM and thermoplastic systems are they're extremely forgiving. So it kind of maintains a little bit of an air gap there, unlike adhesive, where if you get a wrinkle or something into it, it can be difficult to remove or broom out that wrinkle. With a RapidLock system, it's really easy to work a wrinkle out if you did get one in the sheet. And then obviously the final step there is to broom and roll the membrane just like we do on pretty much any other adhered system. Really, the broom is to tack that sheet down into place, eliminating any wrinkles, that kind of thing. Engage the initial tack there, and then the 150-pound segmented weighted roller does a real nice job of embedding that in. I'll show you a finished roof section here on the next slide. And what's unique about the RapidLock system is it actually gets tighter over time. So as that membrane expands and contracts with different temperatures, the membrane works itself down tighter and tighter into that insulation, and just provides a really aesthetically pleasing roof. Just nice and flat, and you can see how nice that looks. Just a quick touch on one of the newer product offerings is that composite board. So if you are in a situation where you would like to utilize a composite, we do that as well. And again, what the composite board brings to the table is 4x4 assemblies, as well as very severe hail rated systems as well. Moving forward, if we talk a little bit about performance, so we do 25 and 30-year warranties up to a 3-inch hail rating and 120 mile per hour wind speed warranties. Again, all supporting information related to system design and warranties can be found in the RapidLock section of the FleeceBACK 3-part spec as well. Where we tend to see or specify RapidLock systems are on really mission critical facilities. any facility that would be disruptive, couldn't be disruptive, or can't close, or have any downtime or risk associated with installing a roofing assembly. RL systems or RapidLock systems are extremely fast. They're quiet, minimal disruption, mitigates any risk of sucking adhesive intake or adhesive fumes into intakes in hospitals or data centers or pharmaceutical labs, that kind of thing. Very minimal disruption to the occupants if the building obviously cannot be shut down. Just ideal for those applications. No noise. The other thing too that isn't captured on this slide, but it's the increased pressure to hit deadlines, and construction schedules are condensed and compressed. Everybody that installs RapidLock systems, that after that first one, they just didn't anticipate the speed at which they could install squares of RapidLock at, and it's a huge benefit from an installer's perspective to help you maintain tight deadlines as well. We see it specified on a lot of data centers that are requiring these compressed timelines, where RapidLock systems just provide unparalleled speed of application. Going to show you a quick video here just to show you a side-by-side of an installation here from an aerial perspective. And this is a RapidLock system. Is going to be on the left, and just a traditionally adhered EPDM FleeceBACK system with flexible fast is going to be on the right, just to show you the enormous speed savings. This was a cold weather install as well. You can see the snow there on the other side of the building. These were done on the same roofs, just different sections to get a good time comparison of that sheet. So you can see how incredibly fast the RapidLock EPDM went in. They set the sheet, pulled the release liner, roll and broom the sheet in, done deal. On the right side there, you can see them extruding the bead. Looks like to be 6 inches on center there out of heated equipment. So your best case scenario from a speed perspective, out of a piece of equipment that can put out some serious volume of adhesive, and it's heated to shorten that string time. So looks like my video stopped there kind of midway. Ultimately there, I'm going to see if we can skip forward. Nope, it's not. Ultimately there, it's just an incredibly quick time savings there when you move from RapidLock, from a traditionally adhered system to an RL system. I'm going to just touch on a few last points on RapidLock here before handing it over to Jordan. I implore you to take a look at some of the assets that we have on the website, talking about just performance of the system. We spent the first 5 to 6 years of this product launch just dispelling any myths about just a radically new way to attach a roofing system, and to show some of the unbelievably high performance from a wind uplift perspective. There's some case studies here from some really impactful stuff. I'm going to try and show you a video here about one of those case studies going forward. But before I get into the video, I'm just going to talk just a little bit about what it actually was. So it was essentially a derecho, which is an incredibly high straight line wind, a storm event that occurred in the Midwest, where we had 29 RapidLock projects in the direct path of that storm. And one of them in particular that stands out, and it was a school project that was going on that didn't even have the edge metal on that building yet, and it still sustained 140 mile an hour plus winds and didn't touch that system. In an area where buildings were completely destroyed, this hook and loop attachment remained even without the edge metal installed, which is just a true testament to the performance of a RapidLock system. I'm going to try and play this video here and see how it goes.
My name is Chris Demereau. I live in Iowa City, Iowa. I work for Luna & Associates. I represent Carlisle in Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois.
My name is Rob Mullaney. I work for Luna & Associates. We're the independent rep for Carlisle in a 5-state area.
So I've formerly been a part of the business for 6 years, but Blackhawk's been around for 30 plus years now. And installing Carlisle SynTec products for probably better part of 15 to 20 years. My father actually owns the company. I've been around roofing and been around the industry my whole life. The derecho only lasted for a short period, maybe only an hour to an hour and a half. However, the damage was, it's on the equivalency of a Category 4 hurricane. When I got to Cedar Rapids, I saw just complete devastation. There was, power lines that were down, roof trusses that were torn off of houses, trees that had fallen on houses, crushing houses, blocked roadways. It was so widespread. There was damage just everywhere.
Some people lost shingles. Some people lost their roofs. Some people had trees driven through their home. I mean, it was tremendous. And the city of Cedar Rapids is still recovering. Pick a street and there's still brush 15 feet high, on the side of the road. My experience was more focused on the two school projects, which were both new construction projects. We, had approximately probably 80-90% completion at the time that the derecho actually hit. A few days after the derecho, got a phone call from the consultant that we had been working with, and he said, "Hey man, I think you really should come out and take a look at this school. The RapidLock product has performed remarkably well."
This system specified for, I believe, 70 miles an hour, and we exceeded those almost twofold and got 140-mile-an-hour gust during the storm.
There was missing edge metal, and we thought, maybe the edge metal had blown off, but in fact, it hadn't been installed. So the edge metal is completely critical to holding roofing systems in place. So the fact that it not only didn't fail, but it didn't fail without having edge metal on is completely amazing. Once you get people interested in the word Velcro and you get past the connotations that brings, and you start talking to them about the actual performance that we've seen in, one of the worst storms that Iowa has ever seen, 140-mile-an-hour winds, and how it performed when it wasn't even completely installed, you can begin to see the wheels turn and how they can apply to projects that they have coming up.
The RapidLock system, aside from some cuts and scrapes in the membrane from flying debris, was virtually untouched. There was no uplift whatsoever.
The contrast was striking to see how it performed through one of the worst storms that has been out in Iowa, short of a tornado, in quite some time.
So it's pretty remarkable when you can have wall damage and structural damage and your roof still staying in place. I was a little skeptical of the system before, but I can tell you I'm a firm believer. I've never experienced a storm like the derecho. The couple of schools that we have it installed on, they want to start going to it exclusively. They're actually replacing some of the fully adhered roofs that they had.
From building owners, from the architects, and the roofer. All of them have expressed interest to take this product onto other jobs that they're doing. As word starts to spread of its actual performance, I think it's really going to take off. It's consistency and predictability that roofers are looking for out of their system. So no surprises. And that's the best thing that you can offer to a contractor.
If you can have that little bit of extra assurance that it's not going to damage your contents inside your building, for the peace of mind, I think it's well worth it. And it's a great product, great installation, and I would definitely recommend it to architects, consultants, owners, contractors, and all of the above.
Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Jordan here, who is going to introduce himself and then talk about some other cold weather application tips with some alternate systems as well.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just get the slide set up here. So I think I've been able to answer most of the questions that have been coming in. We can take a few seconds at the end to kind of review those and go over them. But again, thanks for joining. I'll echo what Jesse said. We appreciate you joining, and hopefully get some good information out of this presentation. So I'm going to transition from RapidLock and move into kind of general cold weather tips, mostly based around flexible fast adhesive. But the same kind of comments throughout that you'll hear ring true for a lot of our other adhesives. And then I'll touch on some membrane stuff at the end as well. But I think I can speak for a lot of us when I say that the majority of the calls we get in the wintertime are related to flexible fast dual tanks. The other products obviously have their issues when they get really, really cold, but we'll walk through some of that stuff. So jumping into flexible fast adhesive. So if you don't want to take Jesse's advice and use RapidLock, you'll need to use Flex Fast adhesive. And with RapidLock, you may need to use it if you can't mechanically fasten your base layer of ISOs. So to run through the family quick, we have all different types of offerings with FleeceBACK. So you have your 50-gallon drums, 15-gallon drums, 5-gallon jugs, dual tanks, which are self-contained, and then the dual cartridges. So everything on the screen there, except for the dual tanks, requires either an equipment or a pneumatic or electric gun to push this adhesive out of the containers and onto your roof. The dual tanks are separate. Like I said, they're self-contained, so they come with a gun and a hose in the box, and you do not need equipment. So great option for newer contractors or guys who just don't like using equipment as much. But there is a little bit of a caveat, and that's they're a little more sensitive to cold weather. So whenever we talk about FleeceBACK, we like to talk a little about the differences between those two. So in our specifications and a lot of our documentation, you'll see a wet bead versus a foam bead. So the difference between the two, a wet bead is produced from any of those packaging types that I mentioned that use equipment to push it out, right? So your dual cartridges, your 50-gallon drums, and everything in between other than the dual tanks, all will produce a wet bead. We want to see that at about 1/2 inches to a 3/4 inch wide as it hits the deck. And then that's going to give us about a 1.5 inch wide foam bead at the end after it's risen. Dual tanks, however, do not rise. So the material comes out as a foam already, and it doesn't really get bigger than it comes out. It will puff up a little bit, but again, it's not a difference of a full inch or 3/4 of an inch. So again, we want to see a much thicker bead when you're using dual tanks. And we always want to end with an 1.5 inch foam bead. So just keep that in mind as you're applying this stuff, no matter the time of year, but especially in the wintertime. As I mentioned already, the only packaging type that we have that's going to give you a foam bead is the dual tanks. That's pretty true of the industry as well. There are a few application types of equipment that kind of spray it out as a foam. But for the most part, dual tanks or canister adhesive with low-rise foams will give you a foam application. And as I mentioned, again, dual tanks, just because of the chemicals that are used to help push this adhesive out, they're just a little more sensitive to cold weather. Obviously, us included, but the industry is looking to make that easier. It just gets really, really hard with cold weather and certain chemicals. So I want to. Is there not a video on there? Looks like those videos that I had didn't load, which is okay. Really, I just wanted to show you the difference between the foam and the wet bead coming out. So that's all those were, but we'll skip those. So again, temperature ranges for FleeceBACK. So again, this slide you can kind of take a mental snapshot of. This is really true for a lot of our adhesives when we're talking about calf grip, PVC calf grip, a lot of bonding adhesives. The ideal storage range for all of our adhesives is really around 60 to 80 degrees. So that one right in the middle there, that is where we want to see storage of materials. Now the application range varies for some of those other ones, but for FleeceBACK and calf grip, which I'd say are two mainly used, is 25 degrees and rising. So you can use those canister products down to 25 degrees, but the material temp needs to be at 70 and above. A lot of stuff starts going wrong or starts becoming different when you get below 70 degrees, right? So your cure time, your string time for FleeceBACK, which we'll cover in a little bit, but then also your coverage rates and just how products are applied. So those temperatures right there are extremely important for all of you to kind of keep in mind as we're still in the winter months here, as just your ranges and where they need to be. Hopefully this video plays. Looks like we got one video correct here. So this is kind of how to check your material temp. So you can take an infrared gun and you can actually hit the material. We don't want it to mix. We kind of just want to spray it separately. And the one interesting thing you'll see here in this video, that material there is about 50 degrees. As I go over to the tank and temp the tank with the same infrared gun, The tank is actually a little warmer. So we're going to get 57, 58 degrees on the tank, and that's pretty true. And that stays true for a lot. So the material inside is generally colder than the tank on the outside. And the reason I bring this up, one is the best way to check your adhesive temperature in the wintertime is to actually just spray the material out and see what the temperature is of the actual material. You can take an infrared gun and you can put a heat blanket on your tank, and in 10 minutes, the outside of your tank is going to show 90 degrees. But the reality is that the material on the inside of that tank is not warm, and it won't be warm for quite some time. So, what do you do if you don't have an infrared thermometer, right? If you don't have an IR gun, they're not expensive. I think you can get a cheap one for $15 at Home Depot or Lowe's. So I would definitely suggest you do that. But we do have a visual indicator for you. So the tips on the dual tanks there are 10 tips that come in the A side box. Those tips will turn blue if it's cold. So even if the tips are cold to start, obviously it's cold outside, your tips should be dark blue. And then as you run warmer material through it, they will kind of turn back to translucent. So they should, if you've ever seen the difference between summer and winter, you have a nice clear translucent tip. If you're putting cold material through it or it is cold, it should be a dark blue, much darker than the adhesive will be. So just some other general questions that we get a lot. And I have a couple more of these throughout the slide deck here. So what if my material is taking longer than 3 minutes to come to string? So that's a call we get a lot. Really, it comes down to how warm your material is and how cold it is outside. So just due to the nature of dual tank adhesive, the colder it is, the longer it's going to take to come to string, but also set up as well. So if you have 40-degree material and you're spraying that out on a 30-degree deck, you could see string time take 10 to 15 minutes, and then you're not going to have good adhesion until, an hour, maybe even 2 hours. So it's very important to keep that stuff warm. Again, the ambient temperature and substrate temperature can be 25, but you have to keep that material above 70 degrees, which I know can be difficult in the wintertime. But again, the harder you try and keep that material warmer, the easier it's going to be to adhere everything. Ready flash. I'm going to hit on this at least 2 more times after this. But ready flash technology is a dark facer and a light facer on all of our flat insulation products, except for any directional stuff. So composite boards will not have ready flash, and tapered products will not have ready flash. I'm sure you've seen it by now. We've been shipping this stuff for a long time. It doesn't cost extra. All it is a dark side and a light side, right? So you have, on our coated glass facer, it's actually black, and then the other side is white. On our paper-faced insulation, it's gray and kind of a tan. This will make approximately 30 to 40, even 45-degree difference in the sunlight if you have that dark facer up. So please make sure that in the wintertime you are laying that dark side of the facer up, and this will help you tremendously with flash off times with not only FleeceFast, but all of our other adhesives and just setting up and coming to string or tack or whatever it may be. One of the final things with FleeceFast specifically would be recirculation methods with equipment. So, there's drum heaters, there's tank heaters that you can wrap around your drums, but one of the nice perks to using equipment is you can usually add a heated hose option to any of the equipment. So Predators, Hulks, and Patriot Juniors are the 3 we use the most, specifically because of rig splatter. But all of those equipment options have heated drum capability or heated hose capabilities. I apologize. So reach out to the manufacturer of that equipment and see if you don't have heated hose, how you can get hooked up with that. Some of it kind of comes standard, but some you'll have to add, transformer and some other small items to it to make it work. But the real benefit there is that you can run your cold material through the heated hose and circulate it back into the drums to kind of heat your stuff up before you start. So in colder regions, a lot of guys will use this 45 minutes prior to starting the job. They can just kind of recirculate their equipment slowly. And that's going to heat your material up nice and warm before you start. So definitely a perk there. And I think the next slide here kind of covers a lot of the heated hose options. You'll know it's a heated hose if it in those Hulk and Predator pictures right there. It's a much beefier hose. It's kind of insulated and also has coils around it that connect to a transformer on the equipment somewhere. So a good way to tell if you have that Patriot Junior right in the middle there, that hose that's sitting on the equipment is not heated. It's much smaller. There's no wrap around it. And there is a difference between insulated hose and heated hose. So just keep that in mind as well. An insulated hose isn't going to heat your material. It's just going to help keep it warm. So you're going to have to use heated blankets and stuff like that. So just do your research and make sure you're aware of what you're getting when you do purchase this equipment. There's lots of benefits to a heated hose, especially if you're in a colder climate. So keep those in mind. A couple more things on FleeceBACK specifically here. So something that we do a lot in-house training is a reactivity test, or what you guys can call a field test. So in its simplest form, really, you're just going to spray a couple of beads out onto a piece of ISO or the deck, and you're going to start placing fleece strips. You could even use small strips of ISO if you wanted to, at 30 seconds and then every 30 seconds after that. So the picture is kind of a completed what it should look like when it's done. And really, we tell guys to do this at the start of a job site if you haven't used our product in a while, or just as a good teaching lesson for any of your contractors on the roof. So you'll see starting if you can see it on the screen there, that check mark is at about 1:30, and then the X is about 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Those are what we would call open and close of our string time. So you can see the material temperature is 75, the substrate 69, and the ambient temperature is 68. So that's ideal indoor conditions. Those numbers vastly change depending on your substrate temperature, your material temperature, and your ambient. So if you have like I said earlier, you have 40-degree material, 30-degree deck, that check mark is going to move from 1:30 probably all the way up to 8, maybe even 10 minutes. And if you have warm material on that cold, it's going to be somewhere in the middle. So you might get string time in around 2.5 minutes. So once that's done, you can wait about 30 to 45 minutes and you can start pulling those strips up. And really what it shows you is just how much better adhesion is within that string time window versus outside. So up from 30 seconds all the way to 1.5 minutes, we're going to have fairly poor adhesion. It'll grab, but it's not going to grab like it's supposed to. In a perfect world, after your 4-hour cure time, if you want to leave a couple of those till after 4 hours, you can pull those fleece strips up and you'll actually rip the fleece off of the membrane. That's kind of what we want to see when we're doing this test. So if you're welcome to do this on your own. This is just something we do in-house when we're training, just to kind of show the difference and the importance of waiting until string time. And again, for cold weather specifically, the warmer you keep your material, the easier it's going to be and work how it's intended to. Moving on to something that we're really excited about rolling out here shortly is our new temperature sensing gun. So currently, there's a box, or in the A-side box, you'll get 10 tips, 10 extensions, and a gun and hose assembly. That gun and hose assembly soon will come out with what you see on your screen here. So we've added a couple. It's a whole new gun design for us, which is great. And we were able to do a lot of things to it to kind of improve it, right? So if anybody's used our current gun, your hand usually gets tired after your second set. It's kind of hard to squeeze. It's not super hard, but it does get tiring over time. So we've reduced the trigger force a little bit. We've made some kind of ergonomic improvements. It fits better in the hand. The biggest thing, and specifically why we want to talk about it here today, is because of the visual feedback you get with the LED lights. So I'll skip over the improved trigger safety there. You'll kind of see it on the next slide here. But when you first get the gun, there will be a pull tab for batteries at the top, kind of where near the light is. You'll pull that tab, and then it'll flash. And then as you start spraying adhesive, it will blink for blue for cold, green for good, between that 70 and 90 range. And then if it's over 90, it'll blink red. And red doesn't mean necessarily stop. It just kind of, I don't know that I've really seen it get red yet. So it's kind of hard to do. But if you're in Florida and it's 120 degrees up in the deck, you might see red. All that really is going to tell you is it's going to set up really fast. So, I would say red is probably just caution for move quicker, and just make sure you're checking string time, or maybe even just putting your boards in as soon as you see foam. I'm sorry, as soon as you're, a couple feet away. But again, it's always good to just check string as you're working, making sure you're not oversetting or putting it in too quickly. So really excited to push this out. I think this is going to be a great visual indicator. It's kind of cover. You don't have to get an infrared gun or check your material temp all the time. So we're really excited to push this out, and you should be seeing that March. All right, so last couple of slides here, we're just going to cover some general storage application stuff. And this is not related to FleeceBACK specifically. This is kind of in general. So, keep your materials warm. Drums, canisters, cartridges, keep those in a heated job box or a penthouse. If there isn't one of those, if you can bring a trailer to the job site and keep it heated on the ground, do that. It's going to make a world of difference as far as your coverage rates, as far as just ease of use on the rooftop. Just covering your stuff with a tarp doesn't keep it warm. Obviously, keeps it out of elements, but it doesn't do anything for your actual heat. And be mindful of what deck you have on your roof, and if it's a cold concrete deck or cold metal deck. If the building underneath isn't done yet and you've got a lot of air movement underneath, that deck could get really, really cold and act as a heat sink for that material. So again, just make sure you guys are keeping your materials warm and keeping them out of the elements as much as possible. A lot of different equipment manufacturers make heated job boxes that are the size of a skid, so you can get a couple of those. They're meant to be on all night and overnight. So if you have heat blankets, like our heat blanket light, a lot of the same companies make those heated job boxes. They're meant to stay on. They heat 290 and they stop. They don't overheat. And they don't heat to 300 degrees and make you worry about how hot your material is getting. So heated blankets, good transition there into heated blankets. So heated blankets keep your material warm. They do not heat your material. They can heat your material, but they won't if you leave it outside in 30-degree weather, and it's going to take forever to heat that stuff up. There's a slide on the next slide. I'll touch on temperature and how quickly or how long it takes for that stuff to heat up. But I'll leave that for the next one. So again, watch for heat sinks. I kind of mentioned that in the previous comment. Anything like concrete or masonry or metal is going to pull heat out of that material, and it's gonna create issues. So again, if you have a piece of Ready Flash, ISO, stick it dark facer up, put your materials on that if you can. Even just putting down some black EPDM it's the same concept, right? So that's going to help you keep your stuff warm. Consider your working schedule too. I know the southern states have adapted to working in the heat, and a lot of guys are working late nights, early mornings. You can do the same thing in the wintertime, right? Change your schedule around. Maybe put your insulation and membrane down in the afternoon and then save your detail work for the morning. So just things to think about when you're dealing with really, really cold weather. So a couple more frequently asked questions here, and this is the one I was talking about just a little bit ago. So in a 90-degree hot box, that will raise material temperature by 1 degree per hour. So, and that's inside of a heated hot box, right? So if you have really cold tanks and you put a heat blanket on them, they will not get warm for days. So it's very important that you keep that in mind. And just make sure that you're keeping your material somewhere, and even in a truck if you don't have something else, just to kind of keep stuff out of the cold. So what happens, the opposite of that? Unfortunately, it doesn't take long for you to lose heat. I wish it did, but it doesn't. So in colder weather, you can lose 10 to 15 degrees within minutes. So it's especially important to make sure you have more than one set of heat blankets lying around, keeping your material rotating. I've seen guys make some pretty awesome mobile ISO carts that they're keeping multiple tanks in and snaking the hoses out through ISO. Get creative and try and keep your stuff warm. Okay. To follow up on that, for the last 2 years, I think, and for this year again, we've ran with a winter warmer promotion. So you can download the rebate form on our website. And really, you just need to purchase a set, or I should say a certain amount of either cab grip PVC, or FleeceBACK dual tanks. And then depending on how many you purchase, you get a free set of power blankets to go along with them. So really, it's just a rebate form you download on the website, send it in, filled out with a proof of purchase, the adhesive, and then we'll ship them out to you. That program typically runs from October through April, so you still got a little bit of time to take advantage of that program if you want. And then again, just make sure it's we kind of hard cutoff date of 5/1, right? So just keep that in mind. All right, so moving on to membranes here. Want to touch on two of our SAT membranes. We'll start with SAT EPDM here. So Jesse kind of touched on some of it with RapidLock, but our self-adhered membranes are really installed the same way, right? They're laid out. There's a release liner. You pull the release liner off, and the adhesive's already on it. So there's all the other benefits that Jesse talked about with RapidLock. No smells, not having to worry about different adhesives. And our SAT EPDM, actually, you can install down to 20 degrees. It's somewhat important to note that that's the membrane temperature. It's if you're really checking the temperature and it does get close to 20 degrees, just keep an eye on that. It does lose tack below that, and we've seen poor performance under 20 degrees. So it is important to check your membrane temperature with an infrared gun and just make sure you're above that 20-degree mark. And just as a recap, we have that in 10 by 100, 10 by 50. We did launch a 5 by 40 product within the last, I think, 2 years here. All those are available in black and white. And then actually, you can get up to a 25-year warranty with those products and our 3-inch tape. So the 5 by 40 is really great for portability up on those high rises or difficult to get to areas. So if you're in Chicago right now, 5 by 40s would be great for high rise because it's cold and it's easy to get up there. Moving on to TPO. So again, same technology here with SAT, self-adhered. Again, installation down to 25 degrees, so not down to 20, but we can get down to 25 with this, and it's still a great installation. We do have a lot more. Actually, we have the best offerings in the industry for this with up to 30-year warranties. And we also have 10 and 12-foot wide sheet. So those are both available in 16 80 mil. So just keep that in mind as you're coming out of the winter months here. If you're still in that 30 to 40 degree or even 25-degree weather, you got a couple roofs to finish up and you don't want to deal with adhesives, SATs are a great option. 2 more slides here before we finish up. So we got some quick membrane tips. Again, here hitting on that Ready Flash for a second time. Use Ready Flash to your advantage, especially when we're talking about SAT membranes like EPDM or TPO. But even just on your normal jobs, fully adhered, these will help your membranes relax a lot faster if you leave that dark side up in the sunlight. Even on a cloudy day, Ready Flash will still heat the surface up. It's just not as much. On a sunny day, the black side will increase about 50 degrees. On a cloudy day, it'll probably only be 10 to 15 degrees, but that makes a big difference on a cold enough day. Super important to allow your membranes to relax. It's always good practice to do that, but especially in cold weather. If you install that sheet right away and then you let the sun hit it, pretty much immediately after, you're going to see wrinkles and buckles. There's so much movement that happens after the sun hits the membrane that it's just hard to avoid. So it's the best way to avoid that is to allow your membranes to relax and give them time to adjust to their surroundings. Don't forget about your walkway pads either. So it's important to make sure you're rolling out your PVC and TPO walkway pads and allowing them to relax. The same thing happens. We roll those up nice and tight in the plant. They all need time to relax before they're installed. And then it's always good practice to check your welding. So again, kind of that reactivity with FleeceBACK that I mentioned earlier. Ambient temperature changes of 10 or 15 degrees. It's always good to kind of check yourself whether you're welding or doing whatever, just to make sure everything's still acting the same, right? So I think in our spec it actually says to check that after ambient temperature changes of 10 to 15 degrees. So just make sure you're doing that. It's going to save yourself a lot of headache coming back to that job site, fixing a bunch of cold welds and whatnot. So again, another tip there just to make sure you're checking those. And I'm going to end it. I'm going to beat this one up. The last one here, Ready Flash technology. I can't stress how important it is to use this stuff to your advantage. Obviously, you'll see in the animation there, you got your dark side and light side. Again, the light side you can use in the summertime to help slow your flash off time. But since we're talking cold weather here, once you hit October all the way through March or April, depending on when you were, depending on where you're at in the States, you're probably going to just want to leave your black side up all the time. It's just going to help your speed of installation, just help you with less headaches in general. So I think that is everything I had. Move to the last slide here, and then I think there's one more question on here that just came in. Can the FleeceBACK product still be used if it was previously frozen due to improper storage? You just got to make sure you heat it back up to that 70 to 90 range, right? So if your material, for FleeceBACK specifically, if you get below that 32-degree mark, just make sure you get it back up to temperature. You can still use it. I think that's all we had. We will, keep an eye on the questions here for a little bit longer. There was a question about if we send this out. We will send this out to everyone that attended. And then, if you have any questions, feel free to absolutely reach out to myself or Jesse on anything you heard today, and we'll get you taken care of.
Thanks, everybody.